Hey guys, how's it going? It's Isa, and in this tutorial I'll be showing you how you can make a gaming thumbnail using Photoshop. The download link for the template will also be included in the description below so that you can customize it for yourself. Now before we get started, make sure to like the video if you want to see more Photoshop tutorials, and feel free to subscribe if you are new. Now let's get started with this video. Okay, so to make a thumbnail similar to this one, let's start off by creating a new canvas. So we can do that by going to File, New, and let's make it 1280 by 720 as that's the standard thumbnail size, which has a ratio of 16:9. So once you've done that, click Create and you'll have this blank canvas on the screen. Okay, so when I make my thumbnails, I always start by importing the main subject or the main character onto the canvas itself. So you can just do that by going to Google Images and copy and pasting an image. So I have this image over here, and if you click on P on the keyboard or click on this tool over here, you'll get the pen tool, and now you can just mask out the character so you can separate it from the background. So you just want to trace along the outline of the subject. So once you've finished masking out the character, you can just click on the first point you made and it would complete the mask. So now you just want to click on Selection, make sure the feather radius is 0 and click OK. You'll notice that it makes a dotted outline along the character itself. So now if you press Ctrl Shift I, it would select everything except for the character, so it would invert the selection, and you can press Delete. So next what you want to do is create the actual text that you want to show on the thumbnail. So for now I'm just going to hide the character and press T so I get the text tool. And just type in anything you want. So I'm just going to type the text montage. Make sure that the text is also white. For the text you can use literally any font you want, but I'm using Luckiest Guy, and I'll leave the download link for this in the description below as well. Now once you have the text and you unhide the character layer, you'll notice that if you put it on top, it covers most of the text and it's pretty hard to read. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the text and just press space halfway through. And now if you click on this button right here while selecting a text, you have options to like bend or warp the text. So just click on arc, as this one works best. And you can do something like this where the text would have an arc. Now you can also play around with this and use other options, but I like using arc as it works best and looks the most clean as well. Also, I'm just going to reposition my character so it fills up the entire canvas. So while you have the character layer selected, if you press Ctrl T, you get the transform options and you can just drag it to make it bigger. So now what you want to do is you want to find another image on the internet, which is a background. So I have this one right here, and this is too big for the canvas, so I'm just going to press Ctrl T to make it smaller. And also drag this all the way at the bottom. Okay, so now let's work on actually creating the effects for the text itself. So you just want to right click on the text and go to blending options. Or you can also double click on the layer itself. First let's start by creating an outer glow. What you need to have is the blend mode as normal. Make the color black and just have the size depending on your canvas itself. So now to give it that 3D effect from the example, you just want to click on drop shadow. The blend mode is again normal, opacity 100, the angle is 90, and you can play around with distance to make sure how far it goes away from the text. So I would recommend somewhere around 20 as it gives it that 3D effect, whereas if you go all the way to like 100, it would just look like a shadow. Okay, so now we'll give the text some color, so go to gradient overlay and then click on the gradient. Now you can choose the gradient that you want from a bunch of presets, or you can create your own. And you can also change the colors itself. So if you click on this little icon over here, you can change the color of it. So once you've chosen your gradient, you can click OK, and you can also change the scale of it depending on your preference. So once you've got the gradient, go to inner glow. And these are my settings for inner glow. Just have it as overlay and you can change the color. Now if you have something on white, it's going to get a really bright outline. If it's black, it's going to have a darker outline. Okay, so to have more effects, you can also go to inner shadow. Now from this, you can also add another colored outline, so you can change the colors as well. Now what I also like to do is select this option right here, bevel and emboss, and you can change the settings around to give it a more 3D effect to it. Now these are the settings that work best for me. Now you can just copy these settings so you can play around with them yourself. And it gives that slight blur effect at the bottom, making it look even more 3D. So you can see the difference now. Okay, so once you've finished playing around with the text, You can click OK, and you can already see it looks a lot better from before. So another cool effect I like to do is just click on the background and click Ctrl U so you get hue and saturation. And I'm just going to make the saturation all the way to -100 so it's black and white. Okay, so we pretty much finished the basic layout of the thumbnail. Now if you look at the other example, I have a bunch of effects. I've got lightning, I've got explosions in the background, I've got these like spike effects. If you go to Google Images and type in explosion PNG, you can see that there's a lot of explosions that you can use. So I've downloaded this one off Google Images and I'm just going to drag this to my canvas. And since it's really big, I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. And you can just put this anywhere, behind the character or to the right or to the left. Now this is pretty much where the lighting's going to come from, or the glow in the background. Okay, so if you want to make the explosion look more vibrant, you can click on the explosion layer and then go to Image, Adjustment, and Vibrance. And you can make that all the way to the top, and you can also increase the saturation. So if you look at the example again, you can see that there's like a bunch of glow around the character, and the character is also fading away from the sides. So now let's work on that. Okay, so what you want to do first is go to the character layer, and you just want to press Ctrl J so it duplicates. And while selecting the duplicated one, you want to go to Filter, Blur, and Radial Blur. Make sure it's in zoom and just make the amount up to like 50. Now you can put this layer below the character and just apply a few more radial blurs. So now what you want to do is you want to go in the layer that has a radial blur effect on it, and then you want to change the blending mode from normal to overlay. So I'm going to do this again by pressing Ctrl J on the character and adding another radial blur to it. Now you just want to get the eraser tool by clicking E, and these are my options for the eraser. I'll have the size as 400, hardness 0, and I'm going to make the opacity around to like 60. And now what you want to do is you just want to erase the center of the character, just so you can see the main character the best, but then the sides are all blurred. Okay, so now let's work on creating the glow for the thumbnail. So what you want to do is make a new layer by clicking on this icon and then click on the brush tool. Now I'm going to choose a red or orangey color and just trace the outline of the character. Okay, so this may look odd now, but if you change the blend mode from normal to screen, you'll see that it looks much better. You can also draw over the bright parts of the explosion. Okay, so I've also changed the blend mode from screen to linear dodge. So now I'm going to work on adding the glow for the eyes. So I'll make another new layer and I'll add the brush over the eyes. And also change the blend mode. Alright, so in the example you can also see that I have another lightning over here which is blue, and this might not fit well with the theme of the thumbnail, but to be honest it looks a lot better with the lightning because you get a contrast with the blue and the orange. So I'm also going to do that for this one. So you just want to go on Google Images and type in lightning PNG, and you get a bunch of options to choose from. You can choose literally any lightning you want, and you want to go ahead and import that to Photoshop. So you go to File, Open. So this is the lightning I'm using. I'm just going to drag it over to the canvas. And you can place this wherever you want, or wherever you want the blue light coming from. Okay, so now let's also create a glow for the lightning. Now it's pretty much the same thing as for the explosion, just create a new layer and change the color to light blue. So I accidentally forgot to record this part, but what I did is I added the spikes on the side from this. So I just dragged this over to my thumbnail and I changed the blend mode from normal to color dodge so it gets a better glow. If you notice on this that the spikes are a purple color, but on this they're a red. So what I did was I just clicked on the spike layer and then press Ctrl U, and you can play around with the color then to suit what looks best for your thumbnail. And what I also did was add the sparks to the bottom, and what you need for that is something like this with sparks in a black background, and you can just add it as an overlay and just change the color mode to screen. Okay, just so you know, I'm gonna have all these effects that I used inside the template, which is in the description below, so you can download it and use it for your own thumbnails. So now that we're pretty much done, what you want to do is you want to highlight all the layers and you want to hold down all these keys. You want to press Control, Alt, Shift, and E, and you'll get this single layer over here. And now what this layer does is pretty much merges all these layers into one, while you still have all the other ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the layers and put them into a new folder. Now this is actually the final layer, this one itself, and you can add a camera raw filter to this. But if you feel like you made a mistake and you want to change something in the background, you always have your basic layers that you can edit. So to add a camera raw filter, you just want to go to filter. You actually want to click on the layer first, and then you want to go to filter and then camera raw filter. Okay, so for camera raw filter, there's no set options that you have to change. You can pretty much just change all of them to see what you like. And yeah, you can pretty much just play around with the settings. And once you finish playing around with the settings, you can just click OK. So I finished adding the camera raw filter, and you can see the difference from before and after. Now once you finish making a thumbnail, you can export it by going to File, Export, and Export As. And you can choose PNG or JPEG, but I'd suggest using a JPEG because it's a small file size and there's no transparent background as well. Also make the quality great and just export it. Okay, so this is the final result of the thumbnail that I just made in this video, and I will have the down link for this template. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in my next video.